Hello there, Star Wars people. Welcome back for another wrap up of another month of OCS or OCS play in the with the aim of getting better and hopefully managing to claw my way up the rankings a little bit. So just to recap February a little bit before we leap into March. So February I went 1-11, and the one win that I got was a scoop because I didn't grant a revert. So as far as comebacks go, it was not the most auspicious, but it was good to get the games under the belt. It was good to get good competitive Star Wars and to start to iron out some of the kinks in particularly sort of the early game stuff. So the aim for March then became, can I continue to progress? So the progressing from the rage quitting and the early turn mistakes was always going to be, can you move past the first 2 to 3 turns without making mistakes, and in the mid to late game, don't get so frustrated that you quit games. So without further ado, my results for the month of March, and you'll notice that there are more W's there than there were last month. So I went 4-8 for the month, which is, if you look at previous months of OCS play that I've had, that's about par from where I used to be. 4-8 was a fairly average month for me. It was a borderline good month, 4-8. So to be 4-8 now is nice, although there is a monumental caveat to that 4-8 before we start getting too excited about it. You can see there, timeline-wise as well, I started 3-0. So I've never started an OCS month 2-0 before, let alone 3-0. And there's a big gap there. You can see I really enjoyed it. I went from the 7th to the 19th without playing a game because I was just basking in being on the leaderboard and being 3-0. And that actually leads to another piece that I probably need to take away with me after this. Good range of different decks that I face there as well, unless my eyes are deceiving me. The only deck that I faced twice was Thrawn, which is to be expected. But other than that, it was different matchups every time, which reflects where we are at the moment. So first couple of games are nice and quick. So what do we learn out of them? First game, when it's going to load. So this is against Ice Plains Hitco, and we're going to go through these quick, if you remember right. So it goes really quick. And where is it? And he concedes. That was the first game of the month. So if I remember right, he didn't have, in fact, you can see it there, he doesn't have a starting location, which was a bit of a shame. So 1-0. Literally nothing to learn out of that game, which is a bit of a shame, I suppose. So game 2 actually was something. So against Steve, this one goes on for a while, I think. So AOBS against Steve's Tatooine CRB. Now, one of the things that I hope I'm getting better at is when I saw his starting 3FX, I thought I had a pretty good idea of what I was going to be up against. So because he's playing CRV and not something that just starts ground, he's playing something fairly balanced because he's okay risking the system. And Saitor is the big giveaway for me there, that he's going to play big scary mains. So that dictated a bit the way that I played this game, which was I think I was relatively conservative, if I remember right, in the way that I went about it. So I'm going to do AOBS things. And this is part of it, right? So this is me getting the early stuff right, pulling the right sites, doing the right things. Turn 1 for AOBS should be fairly automatic. If you've not played AOBS before, your turn 1 is basically always the same. Just for a second there, I'll just pause there while he goes Yana. If you've not played AOBS before, it's basically always the same. You use your Shadows of the Empire pull, so this card here, you use this pull to go and get the Imperial Square, turn 1, so you can verify your reserve deck. And then what you're looking for is you're looking for Vigo, and you're looking for the Palace, because if you can pull, you don't have those things, so you pull Vigo, and you deploy Vigo to the Imperial City. Okay, but it's a once per game, so you don't want to mess that up, which is why you do the Shadows pool first. So you do the Shadows pool, look for Vigo. If Vigo's there, Vigo goes to the Imperial City, Vigo pulls your palace, and the palace pulls another site, which is usually the uplink station, but sometimes it's the sewer. So that way you get that activation going. If any of those pieces are missing, though, you've got to be careful. But the two that I messed up a couple of times was going for the once per game, and Vigo wasn't there, and then you're in trouble because then how do you get Vigo out to get the rest of your chain pull out? And the other thing is, once per game, you can use one force to download. So if Vigo misses, then again, so you pull the uplink station instead, you then miss out on pulling the rest of your sites. So that was a mistake that I'd made, but I didn't make it this game. So draw. Steve plays Yana, gets a battleground out, and says go. So I drain for one, I ping for one, down comes Palpy. Now I don't move Palpy across. Don't know why I don't move Palpy across. Don't know what I'm scared of. I mean, I've got the Gick, so I definitely could have been more aggressive there and threatened the ping of two, but I didn't. I think I was worried about getting my head kicked in, which I shouldn't have because I had the Gick. So again, quite conservative. I restrict his speak pulls by pulling the shield. He gets his activation. Sorry about the speed of the replay, meaning that the verify went flying by. So he balances out the damage a bit. This one's a bit of a chess match. Yeah, once again, so I go to space. So I'm doing what I want to do, which is get set up on Coruscant, and then I'll probably move across. No, don't move across. Again, playing very conservative. To be fair, he's got 18 force to play with before he starts doing stuff. Now he's going to go to space with his big scary home one. So again, this is exactly how I thought his deck would play out. I'm now draining for 3, but I'm not pinging because I don't have the third battleground on Coruscant, which again, why? Yep, so I made a mistake here. I think I put the wrong person down. Down goes U3PO. And once again, I do not get the shadows ping. And this is the kind of stuff that I need to get better at, obviously. But I've got the Gick. Don't necessarily want to waste the Gick. Able to sense stuff, which is great. So we'll see what we do here. So he's reinforcing. Oh, a bit scared that his revert's going to go. So he's spreading. Obviously, one of the things oh, that's right, the celebration angle as well. Now, one of the things that I'm bad at, and this is one for me to continue to work on, is, and it's less relevant here because of the control phase move, but moving U3PO is something historically, I don't know why, but I'm bad at it. So from a control beatdown perspective, he's got 16, 30. I've got 22, I've got 35, so I'm ahead, but I'm only doing 3, and he's threatening what? So he's got launching there. Is that launching? So he's doing, no, he's got celebration. Of course he does. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then retrieving 3. So he's doing 8 effectively to my 3. So I need to do something about this, and I'm shield busted as well, which is a bit of a problem. But I'll do things. Oh yeah, sorry, I missed the drone up 2 there as well. Of course. So down comes Django. Now he's got Luke down, so I'm not able to. But basically what I'm doing is, there we go. Now we move across. So now I start to go a bit wider and basically say, okay, what do you got? The Django is kind of my slight protection against scary stuff. Finally plays the do or do not shield. In comes Ray doing his control phase. And I get to disarm Luke, which is very useful. Down comes Qui-Gon, so some scary stuff, which I don't think I necessarily want to fight, but I might because of the high forfeit. So now I'm doing 1. Oh, it's the drain of 2 as well. So playing it very conservatively, but again, that's because I'm worried about this beatdown. But I open-handed a gig, even though now, we're getting down into the teens life force wise. He's going to try and that's right. That's what I use the gig for. Or the extra gig. Just whittling him down. And I think a lot of it is because he just put more cards on the table than I did. Comes Probot, add to a drain, reinforce. So I'm still comfortably ahead here. Again, what's U3PO doing? So that's something to think about. Is just, and I'm finding this. So I played Star Wars Unlimited this month as well, and it's the thinking, just thinking through things. Just think about what you're doing. It's not that hard. So you retrieve some stuff. Down goes Han. Han's got a 5. So away goes Vigo. A 1-for-1. Kills my drainer 2. Oh, is the revert going to go through? No. It's a real shame because it looks tight, but I basically end up squeezing the win out by continuing to go wide. I think I fight into him at one point. So I think he tries to stretch a bit thin. I fight into him. Doesn't draw out a Hoojix or anything like that, but I just bleed him away with this drain here. This drain here, he ends up having to commit resources to block as well, and it all ends up just adding up, which is what it's what Agents of the Black Sun does. It doesn't necessarily win its games by massive drains or massive battles. It wins its drains by ping, 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 pinging. So that was good. And then I put it all on the line to go 3-0. So Ed played Old Allies, which is not a good matchup for Agents of the Black Sun at all, because they are able to flip you back by a downloadable character, effectively. So this is actually one that I watched back today to remind myself of what happened. So I missed my pull there. So I probably should have just drawn up. In fact, that's worth watching again. That's worth watching again to see how it can go awry. So let's go back through that again, through that turn 1. So we'll get all the opening stuff out. Okay. So the other thing is I've got the square in my hand. So I can burn a force if I want, but I don't. So what I do is I don't, and I use the Emperor's Force Lightning look to see what's in my reserve deck, and I know that Vigo's not in there. And I presume that means that Vigo, I don't want to risk that Vigo is activated. So I burn a turn. And against Old Allies, that's really not good because tempo is huge. But I do get 2 ships, which is really handy. So he does Old Allies things. Now he lets Ray take off, which I don't quite understand why he did that. There's Vigo. There's a location. Now, the other thing about this is, having played against Old Allies a few times, one of the things that I was also quite keen to do was Old Allies can play speeders, and the speeders can come to Coruscant, and they're a nightmare. If you start getting speeders on your Coruscant, you're in big trouble. Didn't have that problem this game, but was quite keen to get the interior site first. There's the palace, so this has not gone great, but I'm flipped. I can start doing AOBS things. Out comes some sites. War Santika comes down, so he starts to do his thing. So my plan against old allies, generally speaking, is the same as most AOBS plans, which is the first couple of turns are autoplay. When you actually get Vigo in your deck and you actually get your Palace in your reserve deck on turn 1. But it's trying to get set up safely and then harassing things like raising camp. So if I can find Probot and get Probot over to raise encampment and make my opponent fight over their Twixes, because there's no text here that reduces the drain or anything like that. So what I want to be doing, because I know I'm going to stay flipped the whole game, is basically drain for 1 in space, 1, but also try and do extra damage elsewhere and just sort of run around and go as wide as I can, particularly on Jakku, and use my barriers and things like that to be a pain. Use U3PO where I can to block, if they've got the drain of 2 set up, use U3PO to block that. So down comes a ship. Now, this is usually quite scary, having a ship. So this is what I mean. This is the setup that I want to get up. I probably wanted to get up earlier, which is that I got a drain of 1, a drain of 1, a drain of 1, a ping of 1, and a drain of 2. And I'm blocking all damage, which is good, but it's not going to stay that way forever. So he tries to get rid of, and that was important, he gets rid of U3PO with free ride, which cancels. And I try to sense it, and he controls the sense, which is fine, because I grab it knowing that I can find Chelly Afra and pull U3PO back. So he goes whitish himself. There's a battle here where he does annoying old ally stuff. I lose the 2 rather than peel the gick, just in case. He consolidates. He leaves Leia there, which is I don't mind seeing that. I don't mind seeing a big, strong character looking after a Twix. I'm still able to do 4 damage and ping for 1. Here comes another site. I go and get Chelly. Chelly goes down to drain for 1. I get U3PO back. I block that drain of 1 again. And also, just for good measure, go down with some relatively scary stuff. Dengar can be scary for old allies because he shoots speeders. And down comes the ships, which is what I'm worried about. Him coming up with the ships. But at this stage, I don't feel in the most horrible position because he's doing 1 and I'm doing 4. And none of them are terribly big drains. So what I need to do, what my game rests on now, because we're fairly even, I'm slightly ahead, is I need to stay alive in space. If I don't stay alive in space, then this game's over. And he has more space available to him. But luckily I have the first light here and I have some dudes. So I go and get a dude, the dude, Mr. Fett. So I stack and he's got the perimeter scan, which is handy. And then I've got another ship, then he barriers that. I don't know why I don't know what he's worried about. There, I wouldn't have worried about the barrier on the first line. I'm not battling in, but he did it anyway. Can probably go a bit faster through this. So down comes Anakin, down comes Padme, and I start to worry. Here comes Chewie for forfeit fodder. He caps me at 1, so it's all kind of bad because he's going to add 1 as well. He reduces me to 0 with bloody old allies. So that's not great for me. And again, it's starting to look a bit sketchy for me here, but it's getting later and later in the game. So still doing my 4. Commit some more stuff, move around, still blocking drains. And Ed concedes. And Ed concedes because he had to go catch a train. So we have a phrase here in the UK called, and I don't know if it's popular anywhere else. I hadn't heard it until I came to the UK, which is you're just polishing a turd, which is the idea of making something that is not actually all that good, trying to make it make it look better than it actually is. And that's what this month is a bit, because it's worth considering at this point. Yes, I'm 3-0, but 2 of the wins, you know, I had AOBs against Hitco, which is not a great matchup for AOBs at all. I'm probably going to lose that. Though you never know. Obviously, you never know. The win against Steve was legit, and then Ed, again, bad matchup, and he conceded right when he was probably about to take over the game, if I'm perfectly honest. So it's 3-0, but it's 3-0 with a massive caveat, right? So game 4, eventually, is QMC against Martin's Thrawn. This is a matchup I've been thinking about a bit lately, because Thrawn is all sorts of bad news for for QMC. It's not unwinnable, but it's tricky, and it's I suppose it's also in the context of my learning as a player and getting better with QMC. So he does something interesting this game. He goes to Kashyyyk. So if you're playing Thrawn against QMC, either as the Thrawn player or the QMC player, if you're the QMC player, you're delighted to see this. I was very, very happy to see the Chimera go to Kashyyyk, because it allowed me to play a more traditional QMC game, at first at least anyway, where I didn't have to worry about if they go, and there's another game against Thrawn, I think it's right next the next game, where they do go to Bespin, and it changes the way you have to approach the game, because you do need to go to Bespin to flip your QMC, but when they don't go to Bespin, then you can go there and stay there and celebrate and stuff like that. So now I was quite fortunate. I open-handed the wildcard and Han Falcon, so that was quite lucky for me. But that meant what I wanted to do as well, because I had the path and I had the barrier, was to go relatively aggressively to the ground early on as well, I think. So down comes Overseer and Huck. What I've been doing lately is trying to play QMC a little bit slower. This is not that version of that. So he grabs my local defense and put that down, which is an interesting one. I don't mind him taking that rather than taking barrier or something like that. Even they're tracking us, something like that. I don't mind, but he comes down with big scary stuff to this site, which is, it's a drain 2 for him. So he's now doing 4 to my 2, but that's not how QMC win games. Obviously, QMC wins games. The longer a game goes on, the more into it you are. So now goes Jar Jar, so I can flip as cheap as possible. I grab Celebration. I celebrate. I've got the barrier. I've got the path. I kind of wish I'm wanting to have. There we go. I'm looking for the Hoojiks. There's the Hoojiks. Okay, so again, I'm kind of daring him. He's got a hand of 7 and 18 force, so he can do some damage. But I've got 2 barriers and a path, but I've also got an ancient watering hole. So he's going to have to start thinking soon about doing stuff. So he drains me for 2. It's actually 5 he's doing. Down goes Governor Price, so he can start pulling from reserve deck. I grab another path just to be sure, because I want to be able to go whitish. I do draining, I do retrieving, a watering hole, and now I want to get my 5 out. So Maz helps me with that, and Arcona comes out. Arcona goes to the docking bay. Isla goes over there. So I'm just sort of getting my 5 set up. So now I'm doing, and this is what I mean, by not going with the Chimera to Bespin turn 1, I'm now able to play this really expansive wide game where I've got 2 paths to deal with stuff on Cloud City and 2 barriers and a Hoojix. 2 barriers to deal with anything over on Lothal and a Hoojix. And all I really need to do from here is keep 5 aliens of different species on the table to keep my drain up. So I've got Isla and Hark and Arcona and Maz and Yoxgit and Jar Jar at the moment. So his big thing that he wants to do with his 13 cards in hand and 18 force is get rid of some of these aliens and reduce these drains. So let's see what he does. So he drains. He plays command to go and grab somebody, I think. Modi. He grabs, there we go. So down comes Mara. Down comes Vader. Now Vader's scary. Vader is scary for Arcona because he cancels his react text. He stacks the Chimera and he does what he should have done earlier on, which is he goes in front of me at Bespin. So now I've got a decision to make, which is I've only got the one smuggler that I can add. I don't have sand, and I can't really add a ton to attrition. So I don't particularly want to deal with what he's got there. So play this fairly conservatively. Now I've got the alternatives. So I retrieve 3 there, which is very useful because I'm really starting to minimize his damage. You can see that I've, the game's fairly even. He's slightly ahead, but I'm going to start to drain, get some of these drains going. Now I go wide in space. I move, and I move, and I move. Now I didn't have to do that in space. I could have. That's a big mistake. I've got the force there. What I wish I had have done is just stayed in front of his Chimera. Done all that, maybe some of all that other stuff. I don't know if Island necessarily had to go across. But I could have just stayed there and played alternatives to fighting and got in another turn of retrieving, which is a shame. And it also would have blocked the drain as well. So the net there is like 5 force at least, isn't it? Which was a mistake. Down comes Blizzard 1, down comes Veers. He fights, which was a 5 and a 2. So yeah, over goes stuff. So it becomes a bit chess matchy now, which is that he's at 17 and I'm at 12. So got a bit of work to do, but he makes my drains 2. Now, this is where, again, a big mistake that I made is I'm down to 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's not an alien? So Hark is she Tib? This is where somebody in the comments can be like, you idiot. Ugnaught is 3. Maz is not. There you go. So I'm down to 4. So again, it's in a close game. It's stuff like this, right? Which is I think I actually genuinely think, as I did then, that Maz was a species. What I really needed to do again last turn, when I didn't just go to space and load up, is I needed to load up. If I was happy to burn Isla, I should have. I should have had another alien on the board because that's a turn of drains that goes wrong. So I once again try to be annoying. But again, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 aliens. So I need to spend more there. Don't know if I really could have. Maybe the air laws. It's getting very close now. Down comes another walker so that all this stuff can move around. But now I'm getting the bonus drains in again. 2, another 2. Get the retrieval. Path Maz over to drain for another 2. Which, to be fair, was bad. I've still got the Kujix in hand. I've got the extra alien. Now I get the extra alien there. Move fingering Dan over. And it ends up being, I think, just a tad too much. But these are the good games, right? He shuttles down to block a drain. But yeah, end up losing by 3. So no offense to Marty, but I really think I left that one on the table. definitely with the not playing alternatives to, the big stuff there. Obviously, better players would be able to point out other things, but not playing alternative. That one turn where I didn't play alternatives to fighting, and the one turn where I didn't put down another alien, there's your 3/4 right there. So, although I'm sure he would probably say, yeah, well, I shouldn't have gone to Kashyyyk. So once again, I think actually this one, so this is my first rage quit of the month. So we're going against Thrawn again. So in terms of objectives for the month, this is a objective fail on my behalf. But it's not. I don't think it's terribly early. I think I just decide I've had enough. This game wasn't back to back. This was on a different night, I think. So yeah, play nice and conservatively. Don't go to space at all. Just draw up. He gets walkers. He's now doing 5 to my 0. And this is what Thrawn does so nicely. I get my sights out. Down comes Maz. I flip. Get a Hanchu Falcon. There goes a Yoxget. Celebration's really not any good. Losing all my characters to the, that's right, to the pings. So path away. And he grabs the path again. This is probably, again, no offense to Marty, but probably a more disciplined Thrawn play. So but you can see that I'm still doing the same things, which is trying to go wide. I'm trying to get my stuff. I don't have Ancient Watering Hole. Oh, I know what happened this game. That's right. Apologies. So I top decked the Ancient Watering Hole, and it's buried somewhere in my lost pile. And I don't have a way of retrieving it in the build that I'm playing. So, your pathway to victory against Thrawn is to stay alive in space, run around in space, get watering holes set up, and try and do some damage, because they do put quite a few. As you can see, they put quite a few cards on the table, as you do too. But you can ultimately do more damage. But I top decked watering hole, and I think I'm just playing this out for the academics of it. And in the end, I just decide that I've had enough. So I try to get some hurt in space by adding some to power. They draw a 1 for Battle Destiny, which is useful, and he draws high. He loses 1 guy. That's Thrawn for you. And eventually, I think I end up conceding, because I just say, look, this is silly. Because you really do need. I feel like you do need all of your stuff firing to win this game. He chokes. Yep. And I concede. So again, that's exactly the kind of stuff that I'm trying to avoid doing. Is losing those kinds of games. So that was disappointing. That was not a great performance. An old teammate, Justin, playing now. Interesting thing about this game, I suppose, I find it interesting. I've never actually played against this deck before. I was definitely reading a lot of cards during this game. I think my clock ran down quite low, but I'd never played against it. I think I'd seen it around a couple of times. I wasn't 100% sure exactly what it did, but what I felt like it wanted, basically, I think that the way that I wanted to try and win this game was to get set up. I was a bit worried about speeders coming over to Coruscant. I definitely knew that he was going to be able to pull Luke early, so I was going to spend most of the time on the zero side of my objective. But the big thing was, can I get to Hoth? Can I deploy to Hoth and keep him flipped and stop him from doing any silly 7-side stuff? So down comes the usual suspects. Move them across, get the ping set up. I've got plenty of space there to be able to go as well. So again, it's the same auto turns for Aobs, he's paying to drain. He gets sand set up. And Justin knows what he's doing. So we get set up in space. I think I'm a little bit worried that he's going to come after me in space because I know he's playing a balanced deck again because he has to because he's not only is he playing squadron assignments, but he has to because he's starting a system. He plays Haven. Now, Incom was a card that I wasn't really aware of, but it's very good. It's very useful to add that to your Battle Destiny and make them immune to a little bit of attrition. Oh, there's the speeder. There comes the barrier. I think he stacks that speeder a bit at some point. So I'm still doing a little bit. I go over and attack his lone dude. I grab the 5 to stop him from tracking it around because I know what you're doing. Cancel Haven. Not sure that was necessarily the best thing to do. He grabs the Haven back. Down comes Poe, down comes some cannons. I'm terrified at this point. Down goes the Profundity. I barrier that. Leia goes over there. She gets reflective. She gets all shiny. At this point, I think Justin remembers or realizes the text on this version of Zuckuss that says you can't draw more than one Battle Destiny. Because I think what I decided that my pathway to victory in this game was going to be if I could force him to pay to drain. That was going to be a way that I was going to win. But he crushes me in space there. And things are looking pretty dire here. Although I'm ahead on life force. His board state is significantly better than mine. So I'll do my little bits and pieces, and then I decide, you know what I need to do. It's always funny when people do that. They react to me putting characters in front of them. It makes me think, should I have battled there? And I had absolutely no intention of battling into Commander Luke in Rogue One there at all. I was just trying to go wide, and I was actually considering chasing down his incom engineer. So he's doing some good trains. He goes down with another speeder. I think I shoot the speeder. Yes, I do. So that's one of those. I'm not sure that went as well as you hoped it would. He gets rid of one of my characters. I get rid of the one who can't blast speeders. He draws a 7. Yep. So he clears me. I draw under what he's immune to. So he does a good job of clearing me there. I'm not pinging anymore. So yeah. Block his drain. If I remember this game being much closer than it looks. But he really does have it in control the whole way. Down comes Ray. And try and shoot him again, and I do. Tracking that 6 was useful. Yeah, at this point, Luke is under the shield, so I'm flipped, which is nice. Means I can ping him, but then he moves him back. So it's getting a bit tight. It's, 11 to 15, so I'm still ahead. I go over here to try and train him some more. I run away. I have absolutely no interest in battling into a fully loaded Rogue 2, but I'm capping him at sort of 3 damage, hoping to win a drone race. Do 1 and 1 and 2 and 1, so it's getting very tight. Down comes Chelly. Don't know why Chelly comes down. Like I just wanted to block that drain. Oh, it's done it again. Cool. I lose. I know he knocks the Probot off, and he's basically able to. He knocks the Chelly off. He knocks the Probot off, and he's able to do enough damage to get through the game. So next one is Mr. Jellison. Yes, watch your step. I have very few memories of this game. Oh, that's right. So the game that I played against Justin, I know I wasn't feeling very well. I played in the Twickenham Star Wars Unlimited Open, and my kids have also been a bit ill. So I think a combination of the two things meant that I was running a bit of a mild fever, but also had the mild fever of wanting to get OCS foils. So I played this game against my I guess my better thoughts, my better angels. I thought, oh look, I need to throw a table up anyway. I need to get the game played. And no offense to the guys I was playing earlier in the month, with the exception of probably Steve, but the caliber of playing the caliber of opponent that I'm playing now is far better than some of the other guys I played earlier in the month, and it starts to really show. Again, this is one thing that I want to get better at is I don't really have a battle plan for AOBs against Watch Your Step. I don't know who's favoured. It doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel like I can do. It doesn't give you Twixes to go to harass them at. It feels scary with some of the fighting stuff that it can do. Obviously, the Kessel Run means that any quick damage that you get in, they get back. I think I just try this for a few turns and then just decide. I think U3PO does U3PO things. This is the game where I started wondering whether or not I need to start playing Cold Feet in my AOBs as well, because I wasn't sure of, I needed to pull Secret Plans as a shield to stop him, to make him pay for retrieval, but he was draining for 3 at Kessel. And I needed to play the Grabber, I needed to play the Watch Step shield, and I needed to play Fanfare to get my Zizor's bounties. So he comes over with his Scary Space, which is another reason why I don't like playing against Watch Step, is that he can start attacking my space. I go and get some space reinforcement. And then I say go. And I think I'm just going to end up losing, because he's getting that drain of 3 through. I'm at least blocking the 2. And he gets a ship set up over there. He just goes wide. Moving to attack position truly is an annoying card. But this is one where I need to, if you're a player like me in a position like this and you've got a game like this, it's about finding people who can give you good advice and saying, okay, what do I do here? How does AOBs win this game? Is a question I should be asking, because it's important when you're breaking down, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but when you're breaking down your results for a month, or you're reflecting on a game, you've got to know whether or not there's no point reflecting on what you could have done if the matchup is so out of tilt that you never really had a chance to begin with. And that's why measuring your success on wins and losses, and I can't remember if I talked about this before, but measuring your success on wins and losses is a waste of time. So yeah, I don't really, it's nice, got some free cards, digital ones. Don't really read into that one a lot. Speaking of games I don't really read into a lot, win number 4. Okay, I'm getting more comfortable with seeing Hunt Down, or I face Rots again later in the month, and it's not great. Rots is not good, but Hunt Down I'm a little bit happier with. So this is my 4th win of the month. Down comes Vader very, very early to the drain -1. He flips me. I get a sight. I do QMC things. He drains. I say, okay. He does hunt down things. He pings me again. And I move, I think, a little bit quicker here than I wanted to. I'm flipped. Maz comes out to try and get more aliens out. And I say, off you go. He force pushes. I barrier. I goldenrod. Something happens here that makes him... Oh, sand. That's right. That's right. Okay. So I'm playing the long game here. I sand. I then come down with Hunchui Falcon and a ton of power. He keeps draining. Yeah, that's fine. You've done your thing. And I lose it, and I still path out as a fake Hujix. So he's looking okay. I think he's looking okay at this point. He's not in a bad spot. He's, I'm not doing, I'm doing no damage at the moment. Down comes the wild card. Down comes some stuff. I celebrate. That's right, I got the characters around the wrong way. I celebrate. Lisa comes down. 27 power to his 6. 20, yeah, 30. He draws a 5, which is good. And the thing is, he's down by 19, right? So we've got 7. This is where people who are better at this than I am go 7, 13, 22. Just do that. Just concede space. Don't worry about space. And do what your deck is supposed to do, which is come and beat the crap out of me on the ground. Now he doesn't know I've got 2 paths and a barrier and also, maybe, and that's the thing is maybe he doesn't want to do that kind of stuff. Maybe he's just like, oh, I can't be bothered with that kind of night. So it's worth mentioning there, I suppose, that of the 4 wins that I had for the month, 3 of them were early concedes. Now you can only win the games that are in front of you. But still, in terms of getting better and using that as a measure of success and saying, okay, I must be getting better because I won 4 games this month rather than 1. Well, yeah, but 3 of them were through people conceding. So that can't be your measure of how you're getting better because it depends on, and you'll hear people talk about this, but if you haven't heard this before, it's important to hear. If you're measuring your success based on your OCS results, it depends on the matchups. It depends on the opponents you're playing. It depends on, are they fully invested in the game or are they playing on their phone in between meetings at work or what? So there's a number of variables that go into why you might win or lose a game of Star Wars. You can't control any of the variables that your opponent's doing. You can only control what you're doing. So you should only really be measuring how you're playing the game or your results of the games or whether you're getting better by what you're doing and how you're reacting to the variables that your opponent's putting out there now. This particular match, this is where I lose the rest of my matches for the month. Sam is, I think, happy for somebody to tell me I'm wrong, either in the comments or on the forums or via Slack or directly to my face. Sam is one of the best players of QMC going around at the moment. And so I wasn't keen to see him when I'm playing QMC because he knows my deck better than I know my deck. He knows exactly what the pain points of QMC are. He knows how to beat it, and he does. I'm not sure who's favourite. I think this is a close one. This one, but we'll see how I go. So he does AOB things. Interestingly, he puts Vigo all the way over there. Oh, that's right. He puts him to an external site so he can go. He downloads him there. So I go wide with my sides down and I go wide as cheap as I can. I flip, get Luke out to flip him back, celebrate. Luke comes over there. Jar Jar goes over there. So I basically just say, look, if I'm going to go down, I may as well go down swing. Yellow. Let's see what you got. And what he has is Cad Bane, who gets buried. And he has an aura who does not get buried. I know he's got sense. So again, and this is where it should be helpful for me. Yes, he knows QMC very well. AOBS is my dark side deck at the moment, so I should know what he wants to do. I should know not necessarily how to beat it, but have some thoughts, have some ideas. He at least is clever enough to play the shield grabber. So he plays resistance to get my drains, which is fine because I'm not doing anything anyway. I start celebrating. There's Ancient Watering Hole. So again, I'm doing the things that I want to do here. Get my aliens out and draw up and just say, look, I'm happy to engage in a drain race with you. Spread your characters wide. But he's doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with the ping. And I'm doing more than that. He grabs Probot back to go after my Yoxkit, and I barrier. I'm just commenting again. Back comes U3PO, blocks. I think my... So it's interesting, he swings at the Yoxkit, and I presume he swings at the Yoxkit to get rid of an alien. I'll make him draw the 6 again. So Luke survives. I'm not sure that's... I can't remember if that's what he wanted to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was. Because it, again, switches off watering hole, so that's what clever players do. So I need to get max aliens out. And I think you find that's what I do. So down goes Jar Jar, down goes Din. Leia is going to block a drain. Maz goes down. So that's basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, fine. I'm going to try and retrieve 3 and drain for 8 and cause you annoyance with Jar Jar. But again, if you look at the life force totals here, it's not really all that close. He puts down a scary hit squad. Here's Yoda. He's able to cancel my drain because I don't have an alien there. So I should be moving an alien over, but I don't because I'm bad at Star Wars cards. So again, this is one where it's probably no one single decision. It's stuff like, do you know how your deck works? I was able to do the things that I wanted to do. I was able to harass him. He's still got Cad Bane and Aura trapped over at his Twix, which is fine. I don't mind that. I'm happy for him to have that. But I didn't go fast enough, basically. He's going to shoot all my guys. That's all he needs to do. Because again, he's taking all these characters off the table. Makes me lose another one. I'm down to 5. He's comfortably ahead now. So it's things like put an alien with Luke to make it a drain of 2 that's not cancelable. Maybe reinforce Jar Jar, stuff like that. I think, considering that I was unassailed, let's just consider that game, right? I was unassailed at Bestman the whole game. I had celebration set up basically from when I wanted, and I still wasn't able to win it. And I think that just speaks to not going, AOBS wins by going wide and going fast, and I did not go wide and fast myself in return, and I should have known that because I should have known what it was doing. A good friend, Jerwin, who's far better at all card games than I am, especially useful when you play ROTS against QMC, because there's 2 Sith and their drains are not reducible, which is not great. So they come aggressively to Cloud City and start training you and then start harassing you from the things you want to do, which is what we'll see happen here. I get my sights out. He didn't do anything turn 1. He just got sights and did his thing. Down comes Sidious with a stick. I will have to try different lines with this. I've not tried different stuff. I can't imagine it would go terribly well. But Sidious is only power 5 by himself. But I basically say, let's do this slowly. Down comes the other Sith. And Newt. So he's now, and I feel like one of my pathways to victory here is by forcing him to pay to drain. If I can celebrate and pay to drain and do all that kind of stuff, then I might have a shot. Particularly if I can get watering hole sent up. He cancels. And so there goes one celebration. Just remember that. There goes one celebration. So he starts coming up with his scary dudes. I'm doing not a lot of damage. He's relocating to a Jedi, which is very clever. And I try to do some kind of damage. Does he have the Geek? Of course he does. Was disappointing. I shift around, cap his drains. I leave Din there. He plays first strike, and I say, I'm a silly boy. It was just a waste of a path, really, wasn't it? Don't know if I've lost that other celebration yet. There it is. There goes the other celebration. So I still got Figure and Dan though, which I could have. Don't know if I could have used it to retrieve, but yeah, it's not great. There comes Mara. He's retrieving. Yeah, draws high enough to kill my Luke. Oh, I lose one or lose none. So he trades 1 for 1, which is good. At least I've got watering hole set up. So I'm doing a little bit of damage. But you know, again, this is one of those ones where when it's a deck that's difficult for you, you really do need all of your stuff working. And I, you know, so I did the right thing in terms of grabbing Masterful, but I did the wrong thing in terms of then losing the other celebration and not being able to retrieve it. I think I may have in hubris lost effective repairs early on as well, which was, I mean, it's just dumb. There's no other real way to put it other than to say that was stupid, and that's why you lose games. So I'm not even gonna bother arcaning away because what am I, 25, 32 to my 15. So yeah, that's just poorly played. It's a bad matchup. It's a bad matchup, but you've got to do all the bits. And then I finished the month with 2 games against Charlie, which, look, honestly, is unfortunate because Charlie's much better than I am. He's playing Shadow Collective. Again, I think a fairly even matchup. I asked people who are far more knowledgeable about this game than I am as to who should win this game, and the answer was a bit of a shrug of the shoulders, I think. But I think this is one of those ones where, in my humble opinion, it's an even matchup. So what it comes down to is how good's the player. And if it's me versus Charlie, I would be betting my mortgage on Charlie rather than me, to be perfectly honest. So he's going to get the exclusionary stuff going on. There's no real nuanced battle plan here. I don't think for QMC against Shadow Collective. I think you're just doing QMC things. You're going down, you're pathing around, you're forcing them to commit resources, and you're hoping to outdamage them and make them go thin enough. If they go too thin, you can drop a pile of aliens on their head for cheap and beat the living snot out of them. But that doesn't happen in this game because Charlie's too clever for that. So got watering hole set up so I get some aliens going, celebrating going. This again, this is what I should be doing, which is fine. And the objective of the month, and we'll get to the last game in a minute, but the objective of the month was to start staying competitive as long as possible. Now that didn't happen with all games this month. There were definitely some games where by mid-game it was clear that I was going to lose. But a lot of the games, this one's not over turn 4 necessarily. Other than the fact that it's me against Charlie, it's not over. Don't know why. Oh yeah, blocking the 4 strain bonuses, dropping the maul. So this is one of those ones I think where also you could win if they went too thin at space. But again, somebody like Charlie is clever enough to know that you need quite a bit of space in QMC to be able to defend Bespin. So he moves the Zuckus over. That creates me all sorts of problems. He's also drawing very nice Destiny here. It doesn't really matter because I've got the Hujix anyway. He eats some soup. He forfeits a blaster or one. And now I'm doing a grand total of 3 and retrieving 1. And things are looking pretty dire. So now I have lost the game. I try to go wide. Let's go over here, let's go over here, let's go over here. It's just a bit of desperation moves at this point. You have to give up the celebration there. Just hanging on by my fingertips. Not really at this point. This is where that turn is where the momentum just shifts away from you. And you should see, there's a concede. Okay, so Shadow Collective drops cheap guys on Cloud City that can chase you around, shoot you, and do you a lot of damage, and while they're spreading around, they can ping. I don't think it's a great game, a great matchup for QMC. People who are better at QMC than I am will tell me otherwise. And then you get to another similar one. So I immediately fired up another table because I thought, well, I need to get through my OCS games, and I get Charlie again, which can happen. And it's the opposite effect of, if you're going to take the early stuff of the month with people early conceding games, then you've got to take playing good players in multiple games back to back. Now, 0 hour is I don't think particularly good. Again, particularly good for AOBs, but you've got to be careful here that you don't. And you can use that as an excuse for any game, and sort of just say, "Oh, look, it's a bad matchup. That's why I lost." Even bad matchups, you play them out. You play them as well as you can. And sometimes opponents make mistakes, and then you win the game, even though you're not favoured. So it's all about hanging in there. It's about playing it out. It's about knowing what you can do and doing what you can do. So what I can do here is one of the things that I do know about 0 hour is that early on it goes. It has sometimes trouble finding Luke. So you can get some early free pings in. But also to flip has to go fairly thin. Now it's very efficient, but it has to go very thin very early. So that can give you the opportunity to get some hits in. So I think I was fairly liberal with the old sense in this game. But again, against a player like Charlie, he's got 14 cards in his hand. He's going to have a plan for if you go against Kanan. And I hope for his case that it wasn't Rebel Barrier, because I played Blast All Controls and just dropped as much stuff on his head as I could possibly do. In hope that he didn't have the Hoojix in his 12-card hand. He blasted Deflections. I sense it because I really want to shoot Kanan. I'm sort of just willing myself to a Hoojix here. And of course he has it. So he plays the Hoojix, but I knock him off the site. I now need to get space, but there's no space there. And he gets Kanan back. He gets Luke and stacks. And he's now doing a handy 1, 2, and 2 to my basically nothing until we paid a drain, so that was important. But by now, it's close-ish. So I can definitely see, again, against a player who's not great, I can see a pathway to winning. He does his 5. Back comes Kanan. Down goes Yoda, which is not great. And Cassian, which is even worse. So he's blocking off the damage that I can do. I'm still getting 1, 2. He kills the drain. I tried to get another beat in. And just go with power this time. And he has another Hoojix, which I think actually is what he unitard for. And it's, again, like, okay, he's about to train me, but he's at 16 and I'm at 15, which I'd imagine in March, I don't get this far. If you want to talk about progress for the month. But he is going to, block off all these avenues of damage with things that he can keep alive. I've got the kick there. Just missed out on shooting Anakin twice. And I kick out myself. Would seem quite rude to be annoyed, considering he Hoojixed twice. So I make him use both of his layers. I don't know why I put the Probot there, but at that point, I just said, like, it's the end of the month. I'm done. Thanks very much. So what do we take away from those 12 games for the month? Obviously, playing when you're ill is not great. Don't do that if you can avoid it. But if you're going to do it, you do have to factor that when you're considering your results. Consider the environment you're in when you're playing your games. Winning 4 games for the month is good, and the thing is, you can go too far the other way with these things. You can beat yourself up and say, well, I didn't actually win 4. I actually won 1, which is the same as last month. So I'm still failing. You take the wins when you get them. If you're going to beat yourself up for the bad stuff, you have to celebrate the wins as well. So 4 and 8 for me is good progress. It's still not great. It's still not where I want to be. 6 and 6 as a minimum is where I want to be. Pushing to be better. There's definitely some things in that month. Some games that I wish I could take back. The 2 main ones, I wish I had the QMC game against Martin. I really think I left a win on the table there. And I should have done better with the AOBS game against Justin when I was ill, which is a shame. But other than those 2, I think the games that I won, I was probably a bit fortunate to win, but the games that I lost, I probably deserved to lose. And the next step for me, the next things that I need to do in April, there's a couple of things, is to keep playing the decks that I'm playing, keep playing QMC, keep playing AOBS, but probably with a view to start to move to another deck soon, to start to build some confidence with that. Because what I'm starting to get to is, it's less about the mistakes that I'm making are more general gameplay related. I think not the nuances necessarily of the decks. So moving to another deck and having other decks that I can also switch to would be very useful. I need to get better at having plans, and obviously the meta is really wide in Star Wars CCG at the moment. So having a plan for so many different matchups is really hard. But knowing, what your plan as a QMC player, your plan for Hunt Down, your plan for Maul is probably not all that different, because they both want to do the same thing. There's a lot of the decks that we play against, that we play with, that are similar. And that's what, I suppose, for me, makes decks like Thrawn and Watch Your Step quite difficult for me to think about how I'm going to play against them, because they don't feel to me similar to a lot of the other things we play against. One of the other things that I know, so I went through my monthly tracking, so I can't remember if I went through this, but I tracked how many games I played and how many wins and losses by month, to see some trends and see some, previously see some OCS. And you can see back in the day, obviously I took a year-end break there, but I was playing, on average, you're 30-ish in 2020, 2021. Sort of, okay, let's include a 54 there, but averaging around 35 games a month in that span, over a game a day for a month, quite easily. I took a year off in 2023 to write a PhD thesis and started to come back. But since I've come back, and obviously December being December's always going to be quite low, but I'm averaging half the games. So I think one of the big things for me to do in April, a couple of things to do in April, is continue to not rage quit, try not to rage quit, and try not to play ill. Try to get better at the mid game, and consolidate positions that I have, and that's far more complicated than where I've got to so far. So there's a lot of work to be done there. Probably think about switching decks and play more. And I'm saying this on the 2nd of April, and some people have already played all of their 12 OCS games. So one of my big aims is to have my OCS games finished a week before the end of the month. This month, try and get through them a lot faster, because that will give me the scope. So if you look at the games that I played in the month of March, I played 20 games, and 12 of them were OCS games. So, and the other ones, there's a few open ones there, but there's basically, in the month, there's 4 non-competitive games. There's Naboo League games and things like that. So I'm not actually practicing. I'm playing matches to practice, which is fine. But you have to if you're doing that, you have to disconnect your results. Worrying about your results, you have to disconnect that from your progress, and thinking about your progress, because you're practicing in OCS games. So one of the things I'd like to do is play more games to enable myself to experiment a little bit more and practice a little bit more and things like that. And I hopefully that will lead to more improvement in that mid game and things like that. So yeah, better month than February for sure. Low bar to clear, but a better month. And here's hoping that April will be even better still. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my unbridled nonsense, and hopefully I will stream a few more games over the course of the next month, as well as part of those playing more games plans. So thanks very much for watching. Make sure to leave any comments if you've got any. Always feel free to hit me up either here or via Slack as well. Thanks for watching.